Yo, 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 what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Glassman's World. So, working on a yard again today. I'm going to take a quick little water break here. So, wanted to talk to you guys about a little situation that we got ourselves into a few years ago. This is my bike here. I got me a High Sierra Super Sport. So, wanted to talk to you about this situation here I got ourselves into. So, a few years ago, we decided that we needed to make more space in our home because we got real cluttered and stuff. Hold on, I'm going to take a drink of some water. Remember, water is life. Every drop counts. So, a few years ago, we decided we were going to make some more space in our little tiny 2-bedroom apartment because we have a lot of clutter. We have a lot of stuff, valuable stuff, camping gear, a lot of holiday stuff that always gets stored away for the year. We got several bikes, we got art supplies, extra food, artwork. I already said the art supplies, but we got artwork too. I've collected multiple bicycles so I could work on them to fix them and sell them, especially during COVID and stuff. So we got ourselves into a storage unit a few years ago, right? I was looking online to see, who had the best pricing and things like that, right? And here, I'm gonna turn this around. We're gonna work on this yard here. So, here, let me flip this around if I can. Oops. Okay. All right. There you go. So, we got ourselves into a storage. I went online. I was looking at different prices. A few years ago, it seemed like the prices were starting to go up. I don't know, about 8 to 10 years ago. I guess 8 years ago, I had a storage unit up in Taos, New Mexico, and it was a large 10 by, what was it, a 10 by 15? That thing was huge. It was bigger than what I really needed. It could have been a 12 by 12, maybe. I'm not really sure 100%, but it was something like that. So I had this unit for a while up there, and that unit ran me only, what was it, like $65 a month. And then the late fee was like maybe 25 bucks. So if I was ever late, and I was paying like, maybe it was 85. Maybe I was paying like $100 total with the late fee, right? And then back then I was going back and forth from Albuquerque to Taos, on my weekly excursions. So I let the storage people know that, I may have to delay on payments from time to time because I won't be up in Taos on certain days or this and that, right? And so, I let my storage unit go. I think it was like after the 3rd month, and they were forced to start the auction process, where basically they lock you out and they take over your storage unit. And then if you don't pay them off in a certain amount of time, with all the extra like auction fees, filing fees, like all this extra stuff, like $100 or whatever. And so I would always just make sure I would pay them off in that time frame. you know, and just make sure that I would never lose it, right? So I kept that storage for many years, and eventually I just let it go and moved down here to Albuquerque, right? So now, a few years ago, we needed to get more space in our area, right? So we got this unit online. We were shopping online, and I found this really awesome deal, you know, and it was like online special, you know, like only online. And I was like, okay, that looks like a really good deal. So what the deal was I don't know if it was like first month's free, but it was only like, I think $89 for 10 by 10. And at that time I was like, dang, 89 for 10 by 10. I was paying less up in Taos. Like, I wish I could have those prices, right? But I was like, okay, whatever. I can afford a unit that's still under $100 a 10 by 10, right? So we got that unit. And then we end up, I decided that we weren't going to like fill it up entirely. So before that, some of my stuff, when I had come down from Taos, some of my stuff was being stored in a friend's unit. And so he was allowing me to keep my stuff in there, you know, not asking me for any sort of rent or any payment or nothing like that. You know, he had extra space. And so eventually I was like, you know what, let me look into the space that he's got the storage at, right? And then maybe I'll get us a bigger unit too, and I can have them put their stuff in our unit, because we weren't planning to use the whole 10 by 10. It was just a really good deal for a 10 by 10. It was still under $100. I was like, heck yeah, let's do it. That'll save us, and if we need to put more stuff, we'll have extra space. And because I had all those bicycles, I figured I was gonna just use that extra space to go take all of my bicycles I had in storage, in there and work on them. I also got an indoor unit there, and when I went in there, I was like asking, I was like, okay, do you guys have any sort of power or anything? Because they had, you know, the units were indoor and they lit up. And they're like, well, they don't. The guy was like, yeah, we got electricity, but not necessarily like per unit. And it's like, but it's all right if you plug in and like if you need to use it from time to time, right? So I was like, okay, that's cool. Have a power unit there. So then, you know, we had this unit for a long time, and my friends started putting some stuff in there, and eventually it got filled up to the point to where I didn't have the space anymore for working in there, and I had to get all of my bikes that were in storage in another place and move. Like, I had even more bikes than what I had in that storage, so I had to go get all the remainder of my bikes, like 10 of them, right, total, and go grab them all at once. And then we had to clear out space in our apartment for that weekend, so we had to put more extra stuff in there. So we ran out of space in there, right? So then I was like, okay, whatever. I'm not gonna be able to use it for working on the bike or anything like that. Not a big deal, you know. But then I was feeling it at that moment, like, dang it, now I'm not utilizing it to where I can actually make money from having it by working on these bicycles and then selling them, you know. So then basically our rent's just getting covered by the bikes, But that never happened. So the asset idea became a liability instead. We started paying that $89 a month, and then there were late fees, right? And I figured, most storage places, they give you that 2 or 3 months leniency before they want to auction all your stuff off, right? And then they give you that late fee. So I'm like, well, they're gonna get their late fee. They're not gonna care. We weren't needing to get into our storage every month at that point. So I was like, there were some times when, that whole excursion of when, like Mother's Day came up and the 420 celebration came up and my wife's birthday and our son's birthday. And it was like all back to back to back to back to back to back. And then I got injured because of an incident, which we court date. I'll have to do an update on that soon. And so, yeah, there was all this stuff going on. So I was like, all right, I'll just let it go over again. And then I learned that after the second month of not paying, if you don't pay, I think it's like after 36 days, then they charge you $150 for processing fee to start getting prepared for auction. And I was like, whoa, I thought it was in 3 months. And they're like, yeah, you've got 3 months to pay it off before it's sold. On that third month, it'll be sold. But the processing fees kick in before that on 34 or 36 days. And I'm like, oh, well, I didn't see that fine print. I don't know where that was in the contract that I signed or whatever. Like, okay. So I'm like, whatever. Now I understand. But at that point, then it's like, okay, I went over the fees and stuff. And it put us in a hole. And I forgot to mention, before all of that happened, they had upped our rent. And it went up by like $100. And I was like, wait a minute, whoa. One day we just all of a sudden we go from $89 to paying $179. And it was like no warning or nothing. So the guy there, he's a pretty cool guy. I think he's just good in customer service. He just knows how to talk to people. Because of the business he's in, he knows that a storage facility is pretty shady business, probably. So, and what I mean by shady is they know that they can get you in, have your stuff in there, and then they just start upping the price. And they know that you're already having issues of not being able to afford to take it out or whatever it is. So they pretty much got you like in a trap. And it's interesting how that works. And so, I didn't really necessarily need the storage until we started moving all that stuff back in there. It was more so that I just wanted it, right? So at that point when they raised the rent, I was like, all right, dude, like I can't afford to pay close to $200 a month for this unit. Like I don't have enough stuff in there to even verify to, to make that make sense, right? It's like, I don't want to pay $200 a month for this stuff. Like $100 a month was already a waste of money that, I just was willing to pay for to give us that little bit extra space. But now they upped our rent. It was like to $179. I'm like, no, I can't pay that, man. I'm gonna have to get out. He's like, well, let me see what I can do. And then he's like, okay, well, I can get you down to I think it was like 140 something. I was like, and in my head I was thinking, okay, if he can get me down under $150, then I'll keep it. I figured, okay, I could afford 150, right? So then, I was paying that 150 a month, with a $25 late fee, so then it'd come out to like 174, like basically 175 bucks a month. So we went from the $68 a month and then 100 bucks with the late fee to now 175 bucks a month. Which is ridiculous for things that I don't even really want to hold on to anymore or need. It's not necessary. So, during that whole excursion with, we had April happen and 420, and then May came, and we had my wife's birthday and Mother's Day, and then we were planning for my son's birthday party, and then that week of had to deal with that incident with the attack at the bus stop, and then I was out of work for a little bit, having to go to the doctor, the hospital, get things checked out, and sprained ankle and whiplash and all that. So that's when I allowed it to go over to like almost 3 months, and that's when I found out that at like 34 days, that's when they put in that extra money, that $150 fee for a processing fee. And it's like, what? Like, isn't someone just sitting behind a desk and just typing some stuff out? They're getting paid 150 bucks for that? Like, really? It's not even pushing paperwork anymore. It's all digital. Like, wow. Like that. That's a good job. How do you get hired for that? So I was like, all right, whatever. So then that pushed us up to, if you can do the math, it was $175 for that first month with the late fee, plus another month on top of that. So you got the 140, like basically 150 bucks, right? So then that brings us up to, you got the 275, and then, so it brings us up to like 325, right? 175 and then 325 with the next month on it, not a late fee yet. And then 4 days later, after that goes through, they charge you $150. So then add another $150 on top of that 325, and then you're looking at close to 500 bucks, 475 right there. And it's like, whoa, 475, like, oh my gosh. So I had to come up with 475 bucks, right? So I went in just last month, I believe. It was, I think, gosh, I don't know if it was June or July when I went in, but it was a few months later, and and I had calls coming in from the storage unit for a few months, and I figured, yeah, they're just wondering if I'm going to come in and pay, and I figured, yeah, I'll come in and pay, and then I finally answered it, and another person there, not the guy that I normally deal with, but another, he oh, we're just calling to let you know that your unit is it's due, and I was like, okay, well, how much is it? And that's when I found out that they do that $150 processing fee after 34 days. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, I didn't know that. Okay, well, good to know. So now I'll make sure to not allow it to happen again, or try not to, right? So that's a big old waste of money. You got the late fees, and then you got $150 on top of that. Like, geez, you really trying to get people's stuff that way. Because most people, they don't work like I do, where they can just go out and hustle up any sort of work or job. They can't just jump on the torch, and just start blowing glass whenever they decide to, and make some sales online and just do a quick hustle like I can, right? Most people work a 9-to-5 job, have a paycheck, and they have to budget out everything, right? And everything's already been budgeted. So usually there is no extra unless they're budgeting in some way of being able to put in a savings account too. So luckily, I personally can just be like, all right, whatever, let me just come up with this $500 so I can give it to you. Just because I didn't know there was this additional $150 processing fee. I'm like, dang it, $350 would have been a lot easier, right? Or $325, right? But not $475. Like, that's a big difference right there. That's a huge deal when you've already taxed on top of it, right? After already raising the cost of it, raising the price. So then I go in and I'm like, all right, I owe you guys like close to $500. And now I'm dealing with the guy that I usually deal with. I'm not going to say names because I'm not trying to call out any of the sales reps or the agents that they have there. They just doing their jobs, right? And their job is probably to not inform you so well as to what's going on with your account, your storage status and everything, right? So then I go in, he's like, dude, we've been trying to call you for months now. I'm like, oh. He's like, yeah, I spoke to the other guy like a week ago, and he let me know the what I owed and that there was that extra fee for the processing fee, which I told him, I was like, dang, dude, I didn't realize that was that. Like, so I'll make sure to not allow that to happen again, right? Or at least that was my intention then, was to try not to allow that to happen again. So then he tells me, oh, well, I'm glad you came in to make a payment, but we were actually trying to reach you to let you know we had a break-in. So the storage unit, which is extra space storage, they suffered a break-in, right? They had a loss of security, and someone was able to get in at some point. And so then he goes on to tell me that that they had that security breach, a break-in, and my unit was one of the ones that was compromised. I'm like, oh, great, wonderful. So I'm bringing you $500 right now so I can gain access again to my unit, right? Where at this point, I don't even know if there's anything in there. I'm like, really? Like, okay, here's your $500. Let's go unlock it so I can go see what is missing, right? And this is after the fact that I had just done all that work for my friend who passed away, and I was gifted all kinds of cool equipment, electronics, and all this stuff. All these things that I don't really know what they are, what they're really worth, the value of them and stuff, because they were all gifted to me recently. And we put it all in the storage. And now I'm like trying to remember what was gifted to me. What did we throw away? Like, oh my God. So, fortunately, when we got the storage unit, they actually forced us to get insurance. They said that's actually a necessity. You have to get insurance. I was like, oh, okay, cool, not a problem. So we paid for insurance, which covers up to $2,000 worth of stuff only. And so yeah, so that individual, he was like, yeah, I would highly recommend that you file a claim since you have the insurance with us. And he's like, if you need the police report, we've got all that, and all the stuff. So I'm like, okay, cool. So filed the claim. that's all pending now. They're waiting on more information from me still, a little bit more information, more detailed stuff. But other than that, wow, that thing is poking. But other than that, went in and did that, the whole claiming, and it's like, okay, cool. I'll see you guys again soon then, and we'll just keep on paying this. And so then, had some issues this last week, not being able to work. So it forced me to go back into the whole letting the storage unit go over that additional month. So my wife went down to out of town to go do a workshop for she's training to become a doula, guys. So congratulations to her on successfully making it through that 4-day seminar, all on her own without me there to help her as a caregiver during the day. She did it, guys, all on her own. I'm really proud of her for that. But during that time, I couldn't work because I had the kids. And so I was like, well, whatever. When she gets back, I'll have to deal with the storage, and we'll just have to pay close to that $500 again, right? But no. Now I get a call just the other day, right before our next bill goes in. So I owed the $175, or so I thought. We owed the $175, or so I thought. A guy calls me up. He says, "Hey, just wanted to let you know that your bill's due." I'm like, "Yeah, I know. I was probably going to come in a couple days to pay you guys before it goes over the second month." And or not after the second month, but before that filing fee goes through, right? I was like, "Yeah, I know. I'm already gonna owe you guys the $175 plus the next month's rent, which is the $150, so $325, right?" I'm like, "So how much do I owe right now? What's the total?" And he's like, "Actually, it says $225." I'm like, $225? That doesn't make any sense. Like, when have we ever been billed $225? So then I was wondering, like, okay, when I paid off that $500 and they told me that our storage got broken into and it was compromised, I thought maybe they took extra money off the card and put it towards this month's rent or something. And so with the late fee, somehow we paid an extra like $100 last month because it was $225 instead of $325. And so I was like, wait a minute, $225 before. And he's like, "Oh, that's for your last month rent." And I'm like, "No, like we pay $174 usually with the late fee." And he's like, "Oh, let me check." He goes into the system and he comes back and he says, "Oh, I'm sorry, it looks like in June." So this is like the very next month after dealing with the whole break-in. So he said in June. All right, look at that. I got that all done. Woohoo! All clear. Now I just got to do the bricks up here, clear this little area out, do the little edging and stuff. This is mostly grass and like little weeds, but it's not all the pokey ones like these nightshades here. So he tells me that, yeah, in June, our unit went up for a reevaluation and has been now rated or valued at that rate of, I don't know what it is. Because with the late fee now, I think it's like $199 is what we're paying for that same storage. We didn't get a bigger storage. We don't have more space or anything. We just now are paying, starting at $89, we're now paying $199 plus the late fee of $25, I think. It could be $189 and now with the late fee of $30 or $40 because maybe it goes off of percentage. I really don't know. So I'm looking around at new spots. We're going to be moving out of there soon. I can't believe that they would up the rent on us after we just got broken into. You know, you would think that after being broken into and then deciding, oh, well, I'll just stay anyways. You know, like not even questioning if it's going to happen again or not. Just, all right, whatever. Deal with that loss, right? And then deal with the insurance claim and all that. And now they bring up the rent. $50 extra a month. So now that, what is it, $475 that I was looking at before to pay it off with the late fees, with the extra filing fees and the extra month on top. So now I'm looking at an extra $100 onto that. So instead of $475, I now have to come up with $575, guys. But then that's not it. I'm gonna have to come up with $675. I'm gonna have to come up with at least another $100 to get into a new storage. And then also being able to transport all of that and working and doing all of that and making the time and the energy and the effort for all of that. So, have you guys ever had to deal with this sort of mess with a storage unit and they just continue to up the price over and over and over? Every 6 months they just reevaluate it and say, oh yeah, now it's more. Now it costs more. It's like, why? Why does it cost more? Is it because of the inflation of rent? Does that mean that if rent goes down, we're going to actually have a decrease? Like, probably not. They're not going to decrease our cost. They're just going to keep it all there. They're going to raise it all up so they can keep their rates up during these times when everyone's like really, really having a hard time. So once again, every single month, you know, and I think maybe I'm going to have a little bit of extra time and energy and be able to make some sort of financial change in our situation, in our time, and get out of the hole. Maybe get a bigger place, a 3-bedroom with a garage, so I don't have to have a storage unit. That would be really nice. Having our own yard so I can garden there, that would be really nice. That's what I really want to manifest, is a beautiful home in a beautiful neighborhood with a place for our children to play, have enough space inside for them to be able to play and do their artwork and everything. For me and my wife to also have our creative spaces and to be able to just be able to succeed in a much better environment and place. That's how I just manifest that for us. And I really hope that I can get out of this hole where we're just constantly paying all these extra fees and late fees or it's not helping us at all. It's just hindering us and keeping us in the hole. So, yeah, let's get under this beautiful sycamore tree here. So, have you guys dealt with this before? Do you guys have extra space storage? I was looking online at another spot where I had a unit at Grizzly Storage, and they charged me $200 for this really large, like 15 by 30 or 40 train car. It was a box car, and it had electricity in it. 110, or you could upgrade to a 20. But all I needed was the 110 in there. And that place was pretty cool for a while. But I did the same thing with them, and I let it go for 3 months. And right before they were going to put it to auction and everything, I just went in and I brought them like $800 to pay for it all. And they took the money, right? They gave me the receipt, and then they're like, okay, well, you have 30 days to remove your stuff now, since you were late. And I was like, what? Like, wait a minute. I thought the policy was just that you would just charge me a late fee. If I didn't pay it in a certain time, then I would have to, then my stuff would get auctioned off. I didn't know about any sort of stipulation in there that I have to move out, But the weird thing is they took my money for that month's rent, and I was like, well, if they just keep taking my money, then what? Like, if I just keep making the payment, then I could probably just take them to court. But I didn't want to deal with all that stuff, so I was like, you know what? Let me just save myself $200 at that time. And that's when we got out of the storage unit, but that's when a lot of that stuff, the clutter, began in our home. And that's when, that's pretty much when we had to decide to get another storage unit later, but a smaller one that was going to be a lot less expensive at only $89 a month. So I find it's ridiculous that they now brought us up to whatever it is. I think it's $189, maybe it's a $199. Plus the fees, and then that the auction fees is ridiculous. Oh my gosh, I can't even believe that they do this to people. But like I said, luckily I can just come out here and hustle, make a lot of money real quick in a short period of time, so I can go save all of our things. And the thing is, like I said, it's stuff that I don't care about. It's all stuff that my wife wants me to hold on to, because she cares about it. I am forced to care about it and make sure that I protect it and save it for her. And then also my friend's stuff is in there, so we got to make sure that they can get their stuff out in a timely fashion before I move it all. But they're also paying a lot more than they want to as well, so we may try to go in on a large unit over there at Grizzly. I don't know if you guys have Grizzly storage, if you've ever used it here in Albuquerque. What do you guys think about Grizzly storage compared to Extra Space storage? I think Grizzly storage might be more locally owned and operated, but I'm not 100% sure on that. I don't really know. All I know is they got 10 by 10s for like $100 to $125. But then do they do the same thing and bring it up every 6 months and like reevaluate? Like, can we get that in writing? Maybe when we go in, we'll just run the video and be like, instead of getting it in writing, we're just gonna have it on video. just answer those questions on video. Like, so, do you reevaluate and up the prices every 6 months, every year? When do you do so? Because that seems crazy to just do that like every 6 months. So it's like, okay, so in like 2 years, I just know that it's going to cost $200 more. A 10 by 10 is going to be running $400. Like, that doesn't make any sense. This must be a way of how they just recycle people in and out, and then sometimes they can capture people's stuff when they catch them off guard and they're not allowed. They're not able to afford to pay. That's probably what happens. It's a little trick to catch people off guard so they can claim all their stuff. And you know, they've already been in my unit because I had to assess the break-in. They know I don't have much in there. So it's probably better for them to just get me out than try to get my stuff. So then they can try to get someone else's stuff instead. I don't know. What do you guys think about all that? I think it's pretty crazy. I'm going to let you guys go. I'm going to finish up this yard here. There's only a little bit more to go here. I don't know how clean, how super clean they want it, but I'm going to get this flagstone here. So we're going to clear out all this flagstone. We're going to get it looking like over there. So we're going to get all this growth all clean and clear. I don't know if they want me to clear that all out or not. And then the rocks looks like it's already got some more new growth in there. So we're going to clear all that out. But yeah, pretty much done here, guys. So thanks for watching. Thanks for listening to me rant. And let me know in the comments below if you guys have been dealing with any of this kind of stuff before. And what you guys think about storage units and all that stuff. Is it worth it? Is it not worth it? I don't think so. Uh-oh, my camera's done. I can't flip it back around, so I'm gonna let you guys go. Oh, there it is. All right. Now you can see my ugly mug, my crazy smile. All right. I'm gonna let you go. You guys have a one. All kinds of stuff that's going on recently. We'll definitely be doing some live glass blowing here very soon again, and music. All right. Take care. You guys have a good one. Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit that subscribe button.